Thank you for joining us. Welcome once again to Mid-State Money Talk. I'm here with Al Dietrich and Kevin Dietrich of First Choice Financial Services. I'm your host, Spike Spangle, and I usually throw it right over to Al. But Kevin, I'd like to ask you, what's on your mind this week? What do we want to help people with?
We want to help people with how to create a reliable stream of income.
Oh, amazing.
We talked about this a couple episodes ago, that it's not our father's retirement. Pensions are really a thing of the past. I mean, there's a few, especially in our area, that have pension availability, but the majority are not. And so how do you create that reliable stream of income that can't go down, that keeps up with inflation, so on and so forth.
And that you hopefully can't outlive, not just for yourself,
definitely.
maybe even for your spouse as well. Fantastic program today. How do you create a reliable income stream? In fact, we call it income on cruise control. That would be nice, not having to worry about it. Because look, when you're in retirement, Al, you don't want to be watching the ups and downs of the market, wondering, is it okay for me to take money out this month? The market went down 5%. That's no way to relax in retirement, is it?
Not at all. No, not at all. And that is a main concern of people. They come in, they say, first thing we want to know is, are we going to run out of money? What they're really saying is, are we going to be okay? And the other thing is, am I going to have years where I cut back and years where I can go do some other things? And but what they really want is level, guaranteed income to take care of those needs, the stuff that's going to come every month. Every month they've got to be concerned about it. And we use different tools to do that. A lot of times people will save every month so that they have money in their savings account to pay for their real estate taxes in April and September. Well, we can use some of these products to provide those real estate tax payments in March and August, so that they don't have to take money away from their standard of living. They don't have to go to the grocery store and put the hamburger on their credit card. They don't have to do those kind of things.
Yeah.
Like, let me ask you a question.
Sure.
Do you want a stress-free retirement or a stressful retirement?
Stress-free.
That's right. We all want a stress-free retirement, don't we? That's just common sense. So we provide that stress-free retirement. We have that cruise control income, Social Security, and additional guaranteed source of income, whether it be a pension or a pension that you create. That gives us a stress-free retirement. Your needs are met and your wants are met.
I want to continue to talk income on cruise control, fantastic concept, but is that Social Security? Kev, is it still on as much cruise control as it was for our parents or grandparents? We're getting like warnings from SSA.gov.
Yeah, it's right out there on SSA.gov, so we're not really saying anything that's out of the ballpark and like, whoa, really? Yeah, it's not as safe as it used to be.
Okay.
It's supposed to run out at 2035, I think it is, something like that.
Yeah, there's different estimates.
And I don't know if it's a scare tactic or if that's reality. Bottom line is the federal government has not been spending that money or using that money wisely. Let's just put it that way. And so there are products out there that we have available to us that can help enhance that, or maybe if it is reduced to a degree, that can kick in an additional stream of income to and make that better.
Right.
Because better is better.
This isn't us making that warning. You're seeing it on your Social Security statements already. The possibility of a reduction, and it depends, because I think it depends on what the Treasury rates are doing for that fund. So it's either 2033 or 34 or 35. It depends. But more importantly, 10 years into retirement, do you think you'd want to take a 10 or a 15 or a 20% reduction? Al, you would actually kind of introduce this to both of us. There is a tool that could actually ensure that gap if it happens?
Yes. Again, we have multitude of tools in our office, and we have tools that a lot of big warehouse advisors may not have, because we're holistic in nature, we're independent, so we can work with anybody we want to, and we do. And it's amazing what's out there when you go looking, especially from an educated point of view. What is out there? There's things that if Social Security does make a decision like that, you have a contractual guarantee that we can step up and do that for you. Guarantees, that's the name of the game. When you're in retirement and you're getting older and you're not as capable of finding that other job or not as resourceful as you once were, you can't work overtime, you can't do those type of things, you need to have someone who can sit across from you and say, Now, this is something that we should plan for. This is something that we should plan for. Not somebody that says, here's your risk score, it's a 34, and here's what we have for you, right?
Thank you for the visual on that. No, that's true, and that's what happens. Kevin, so true what Dad is saying here, that even if you're one of those, we're all trying to be very careful, one of those big box firms, you'll see them on the sides of stadiums or Super Bowl commercials, right?
Sure.
But then they're allowed to help with investments, but they don't seem to talk to you about tax planning or estate planning or exactly when to take that Social Security. Your approach here at First Financial is holistic in nature.
Yeah.
Talking about all of the different aspects, including the income. Now, this is where we get to rest-free, a stress-free retirement.
Yeah.
But you are holistic in nature, especially even in that first appointment.
Well, obviously, yeah, we do workshops on a monthly basis in our area just to educate the public. We touch on 3 main topics: Social Security, Medicare, and taxes.
In retirement.
In retirement, yeah. And so we're not tax professionals, we're just tax planners, okay? And Medicare, we touch on all healthcare, we touch on Social Security, okay? But I usually ask the question, how many of you have a financial advisor in here? And some of them raise their hand, about half the group raise their hand, and I say, why are you here then? Why are you here? If you're with a financial advisor, should they not be talking to you about Social Security, taxes, and health choices in retirement?
Yeah. Kevin, I think that's the big disconnect, though.
And many of them say, well, they didn't know to answer my Social Security question or Medicare. They said I needed to go someplace else.
It's just like that cookie cutter approach that we've seen over and over again. They say, when you ask them about their Social Security, they say, well, just wait till 70. Well, what if you can't wait till 70? What if you want to retire at 62 because of health concerns, and you had to start taking your Social Security at 62? But my financial advisor says I have to wait till 70.
Right.
So are there alternatives? Yeah, let's work the plan and get you the retirement you want, stress-free.
I also think there's a big disconnect on that word or that phrase of financial advisor.
Oh, yeah.
Your financial contact might be somebody who works at a big box firm, or your 401k provider, or an insurance person, or your tax person. But a true firm that does it holistically actually covers all of those bases.
Yes.
And that's the big difference. And I don't blame the public. It can be really confusing for folks.
It can be, yeah. So when we sit down the first meeting, we go through our 5-step process, and we do all of those different reviews, and we put together a plan for them over the second meeting, and then we present that plan to them. And 99% of the time, they are like overwhelmed that you're covering all of these bases.
Yeah.
There's nothing left unturned.
Yeah.
Okay.
If you don't mind, would you take a moment out to the camera and tell the folks what exactly are some of those 5 things that you're going to talk about?
So we're going to do a financial review for you, the first meeting, figure out what your debt is, what your income needs are, what you want, what you are looking for in retirement. We do an income plan, a tax plan, healthcare plan, and then an estate plan for you.
All right. And you can do that, folks, by starting and calling this phone number right now. There are folks standing by. They'll take your call, they'll set up an appointment, and you'll sit down here with the Dietrich family team of First Choice Financial Services. Holistic planning. It includes all of those questions on your mind that have to do with a dollar sign. Life insurance, how and when to take your Social Security. Medicare, we haven't talked about that in a while. There's that open enrollment season every single year. You get bombarded with more flyers and commercials every single year. Are you supposed to review that? Are you fine if you've already signed up? All of these decisions, along with the risk tolerance of your portfolio, tools to create income. That's holistic planning. That's what the team can do for you, but they can't do anything if you don't pick up the phone. Dial that phone number right now. We'll be back with more Mid-State Money Talk right after this.
How I got in the world of finance? My brother-in-law had a friend that was in the business, and he was looking to find an agent, and I was looking for a job. I was really hesitant, almost didn't do it. But then I thought, I got to have a job while I'm looking for a future, and so that's why I took it. And then one day I was asked to deliver a death claim check to a family. This was a very emotional situation, and my son was there watching this whole thing. So as I sat down and went over the amount of the money and how it should be spent, she was just up and hugging me and thanking me. And at that point in time, it hit me that what I'm doing is really important. It's not just being in the life insurance business. And so it was just a few months till I was independent. I couldn't do what I wanted to do as a captive agent. As an independent, it allowed me to be flexible with my time. And now the blessing is that Kevin, that young man I was talking about, he is now joining me in my practice. And his brother, Joe is joining me in the practice. So the future of First Choice Financial Services is in great hands.
Welcome back to Mid-State Money Talk. On the desk today, we've got Alan Dietrich and Kevin Dietrich, both financial planners here, retirement income specialists. And as we always like to say, not exactly tax attorneys, you're not estate planning attorneys, but it is all part of a holistic conversation. More of today's focus, though, is how do we create that income on cruise control? As you said, stress-free retirement. If I know that I got income for life and I know what I can spend, I think I'm going to be pretty stress-free. But when we start with that, Al, some of the tools that go in there, I started going down a rabbit hole. Look, I'll name them, okay? You've got SPIAs, you've got MIGAs, you've got VAs for variable annuities, you got fixed index. Oh my, it's all. Which one am I supposed to be looking for? How am I supposed to figure out which is best suited for myself?
Well, you most likely won't. There needs to be training involved. There's revisions to each of those on an annual basis, sometimes more than once a year. And so you need to have someone who understands that A word, the annuity word. And again, the only reason we're talking about annuities today is because people are concerned about not having pensions, and this is a way you can get it. The other reason we're talking about annuities today is because people are unaware of what the new modern annuities are like. What do they do? How many advantages are there to them? You know, if you have money in a stock or a bond and the market's down and you go to the nursing home, guess what? You know, you're going to pay a lot more for that stay in a nursing home. But if you have money in a safe, guaranteed account, a lot of times any costs or fees that are involved with that are waived, so that you can use that money dollar for dollar to go into a nursing facility. There's also some of the tools that we have. We're talking about nursing facilities that, you know, if you were to invest, let's say $100,000, you get a $300,000 benefit to go to the nursing facility. What if you never have to use it? You get your $100,000 back.
Oh, you get a $300,000 back
over a period of years.
Because it has an enhanced death benefit.
Yes.
Wow. Wait, I want to repeat that. You said I invest $100,000 in this tool, and we're going to call it an annuity, the A word. We understand
Right.
a lot of people have a reaction to it. But it will what? It will double or triple your benefit for the time that you're in?
Yeah, there's a few questions that they ask. And if there's any serious issues, they may double it. If there's only a handful of normal issues, blood pressure, things like that, you know, they may triple it. And now you've got $300,000 to use for that stay. And that can be used in a lot of different ways. You know, obviously there's another estate planning tool. It's called an irrevocable trust that we can put on the back end of that. There's so many different things that we can do. But for you to understand that, you know, you need to come in and have the right questions asked of you to provide the answers, so then we are in a position to be able to offer you the tools and the advice that you need to make a difference in your life.
Now,
I think we need to mention something here. We don't want to really confuse the listener at home. We're talking at a pretty detailed space here, but I want to keep it at a high level. You know, annuities are just a tool that we use in our planning, along with bonds, stocks, mutual funds, ETFs, all those life insurance. All of those things go into the planning process. We've seen a shift. We talked about that last time before with the Not Your Parents' retirement, but we've seen a shift in the way we view annuities in our industry. And so annuities really are just an asset class, along with a stock, a bond, mutual fund, ETF, and annuities. You know, for years, you know, bonds were the safe investment. You know, you have stocks and bonds. But you know, when the market comes down 30%, bonds come down 20%, okay, typically. And so you're not really seeing that safe harbor.
Well, and also that safe harbor and that safe return had been basically nothing over the last 5, 6, 7 years.
Correct.
Now, interest rates did come up, but that's the thing. In retirement, are you supposed to be diving in and out of asset classes and you trying to fit? You've said that before. Now you had to become an asset manager in your retirement years.
Correct.
That's not stress-free.
That's not stress-free. But get the stress on us. We'll take care of that stress. We understand how the products work. You can't do this yourself. You don't understand how these products, there's thousands of products like this out there. How does each one work, and what riders do I attach to them? What fees are involved in them? I mean, what nuances are them? I mean, that's where the planning comes into play.
Yeah.
We understand these things. We understand how stocks and bonds, mutual funds, and annuities work and blend together to give you the best retirement, that stress-free retirement that you're looking for.
I'm going to give you both a moment here to breathe because I'm going to throw a curveball.
Okay.
I had no idea this one is coming. But I remember reading in recent legislation, I don't know if it was Secure Act 2.0, but they are talking about the introduction of being able to put annuities into 401k plans. Now, Kevin, you've already talked about how a lot of the American public doesn't know exactly how to choose which funds or for the risk tolerance and what are the costs, and is it a mutual fund, is it an exchange-traded fund? Oh, and those target date funds. Now you throw in the possibility of maybe an annuity. I'll just ask you, first of all, is this a good idea, bad idea? Is it yet to be seen? Does it depend on what kind of tool is put in there? Who wants to take this?
I think it goes back to my point I was just making, that it's really turned into its own asset class. And so that's why they're even introducing this as a option to put into a 401k, because they understand that the bonds are now, they call it fixed income, are not as secure as some of these employees are looking for. You know, we're seeing a shift even in that. They want security involved in a mix of security and aggressiveness in their portfolio.
Yeah.
Yeah, and there's not just talk of it, but there are actually companies that have actually already have it prepared and ready to snap their fingers, and it's going to happen. So yes, I think it's a great addition to what's going on, and my only concern is who's going to explain it.
No, yeah, true. Who's going to explain it? How are people going to use it? Because I think there's going to be a lot at first, a lot of the same kind of pushback that regular America has about annuities in general. So I don't want anything to do with that. But, you know, can they title it something? You know, here's your income plan, or your guaranteed or your reliable income plan for retirement. And then what happens to the stock and the bond funds? Or are we supposed to split it all evenly? That's where we really need the help of somebody to help us on the retirement planning.
That's right.
So when you do a risk tolerance questionnaire, that's a typical form that every financial advisor has you fill out. And it just shows your risk. How tolerant are you of risk? And what we've experienced is that people's risk tolerance has changed. They change as you approach retirement into those three different phases we talked about a couple episodes ago. Accumulation phase, maybe your risk is higher. You know, in your preservation phase, it should be getting to be a little bit lower, but people don't really realize that. And then when you're in the distribution phase, your risk should be even lower than that.
You brought up a great concept there. Unfortunately, we've got to take a very short break here. I want to talk once again about the accumulation to preservation to the distribution, because it seems like those last two stages are much shorter than the 30 or 40 years of accumulation. And how and when do we switch those gears? Kev, why don't you tell them again real quick? We're going to review 5 things when they call that phone number. This is going to be 60, 90-minute appointment, no cost to them. What are the things you will review?
We're going to review your investments, your income plan, your tax plan, your health care needs, and then, of course, how do you want to leave your beneficiaries your money, legacy planning.
And all of that starts with a phone call right now. You can speak with the Dietrichs. It's going to go over to the Secure Call Center. We'll set up an appointment for you, and we'll get that 5-point review done for you. No cost for you. We just want to see if you're on track for retirement. Call this phone number down here on the bottom of the screen. More Midstate Money Talk right after this.
First Choice Financial Services. We're based out of Camp Hill, Pennsylvania. So if you're familiar with Harrisburg, there's a river that splits the mid-state in half. And on the right side is the Harrisburg City, and on the left side is what we call the West Shore. We're based in Camp Hill, Pennsylvania, which is just across the river from Harrisburg.
Everybody that works in our firm just has a heart for other people. My 2 sons are partners in the corporation. Their wives are very active in the corporation. The rest of the people in the corporation are, all but 2, are family.
I wouldn't want to practice that's not family-based or faith-based. If you're a believer, you're a Christian, then you have to live that. It's your life. It's who you are. It's your identity. My identity is in Christ, and Christ alone, and I'm not going to waver from that. And why not have that spill over into my business, my practice? It's all over our walls, all over our TV screens, and they can see our heart and they know, hey, we take care of them and we love them as individuals and we care for them and their soul.
When we've sat down with somebody and we've taken time to get to know them and put something into place that's going to really meet their needs, to see the look of relief or the posture change when they walk out of the office feeling confident and a little less worried of the years to come.
Welcome back to Mid-State Money Talk by the team here of First Choice Financial. I'm Spike Spangler. I'm here with the Dietrichs, father and son. We've got Kev, we've got Al here, and we're talking about how do we create that income on cruise control if we can in retirement. A little concern about Social Security. Let's hope that they fix that. There are tools we can put in place. But actually, during the break, you said a lot of people might mistake the word planning too much, a little bit too much like homework.
Sure. Yeah. We just want folks to know that when you come in, we'll take care of the technical stuff. All we want you to do is understand is we're going to have a conversation with you. And we're going to ask you some questions. We're going to let you tell us some stories. We're going to find out who you are and what's important to you. And that is the first base of planning. But I guarantee you'll be comfortable. I want you to just come in, relax, and just be prepared to answer some questions with us.
Okay. Now, when we go then in creating that income planning, first of all, we've got to obviously go through 4 decades of savings, right? 4, maybe even 5 decades, depending on how long. But then you said there are 2 different phases. There's the preservation, so I guess trying to keep that capital, making sure that we're not spending down too much. But then really distribution. I've often thought in my mind those 2 either kind of overlap, but we've been trained for 4 decades to save. How do we switch gears? How do you help clients switch gears?
That's a great point. They do overlap a little bit. Accumulation phase could be from the time you start working to the time you about 5 years before retirement is the accumulation phase. Okay, that might be 30 to 50 years, like you mentioned. So that's a long time. Yeah. So your mindset and your comfort level is a certain degree. Okay. Well, then preservation stage is that red zone that we refer to, and that is that 5 years before you actually retire, and then 5 years after. So in that, your risk comes down typically how much you're willing to risk in the market or in the work.
Can I interject something there?
Yes.
The red zone can happen if you're intending on retiring at 55. 5 years before is 50. If you're retiring at 60, it's 55. So the red zone is really the preservation stage. You want to start that before you actually do. And people are retiring at different ages today. Yeah. And then after that time, there needs to be some adjustments. And prior to the preservation stage, you want to make sure you maximize your contributions to your 401k, and you want to work on getting that debt taken care of.
Yeah.
And then you got the distribution phase. That's a great point, Dad. And that could be just as long as accumulation.
As your accumulation.
It's basically till you die, right? So, I mean, that's morbid, but that's pretty much it. I mean, so you have to create that income and make sure that it lasts for that 30 to 50 years that you're going to continue to live.
And our viewers might think that we're exaggerating here, but we talked about a story last night when we had dinner before our pre-show, and saying that there was a woman down in Texas this year who just celebrated her 115th birthday.
Yeah.
And she's living with her young, sprightly daughter of 94 years old. Look, that family's got longevity.
That's right.
Maybe that's your folks out there as well. So,
well, that's what we're seeing more and more today. Is that longevity is very real.
Even just within the last 30 or 40 years. I mean, an extra 5, 6, 7 years on your lifespan, and then what does it do? So that preservation phase, I want to ask for both of you guys. Yeah, is that over that retirement red zone? Is that when we're preserving? Is it the same kind of time length for everyone, or again, does it change?
I think it's about the same. But again, it's the ages. What is your plan? When is your spouse going to retire? And it doesn't mean you go from high risk to no risk. It just means that you start preparing for that time. And again, if you have debt, let's work on getting that debt taken care of. If you're putting $6,000 a year into your 401k and you could put more into it, Uncle Sam says you can put over 30 grand in there.
Yeah.
So how do we get you there? And some planning helps by cutting here, cutting there, and putting it aside.
Yeah.
All you're going to end up with is what you send ahead.
Right.
Yeah, the accumulation phase, I mean, you're really on cruise control a lot of times on there too, because you're investing the same target
The
date
same
fund.
funds.
You're putting the same 3% in and 5% in. But we encourage our folks, as you're approaching that preservation stage, let's max out your 401k. Typically, your income's at the highest level it's ever been in your life. So why can't you max that out? And typically, your kids are all grown and out of the house, so your debt to income ratio is substantial as far as be able to have that extra income coming in.
Mortgages are usually paid for.
Yeah, your mortgages are usually paid for. So there's lots of different benefits that you have, but people are just on that cruise control. They're in that comfort level that they don't realize those things. So it's our job to point those out, and as all part of the planning.
And quite frankly, you're not going to get a phone call or an email from your 401k provider saying, hey, you realize you're in the retirement red zone? Let's do a review.
Yeah.
You don't get that help from there.
No, you do not.
No, you can go in there and select a button that says increase of 1% each year. Well, that might.
Yeah.
What's that going to do for you? Increase it from 3% up to 10% maybe? Well, I have people come in our office all the time that are maxing out the 401k, and they're putting in 30% of their salary into the 401k. If you can do that because they're both working, you can do that, great. Let's do that,
Right. But how did most people pick those funds, and when was the last time they reviewed them?
Well, that's a whole nother episode.
That's
right?
a whole nother month of episode of doing that.
That's right.
But Kevin, you've been doing great. Please, again, for a reviewer, tell them exactly the 5 things that we'll do in a review for them just by calling the phone, setting up that appointment.
That's right. We're going to give you a financial review. That will review your investments, what you want, your needs, your dreams, your goals. We're going to look at an income plan for you. Make sure you're not paying more in taxes than you should be. Tax planning. Make sure you're getting the best health care choice possible before 65 if you're going to retire, and then after 65 if you're on Medicare. And then, of course, what can you leave to your beneficiaries? Possibly tax-free if you can. That's legacy planning.
Al, it seems like you've trained the staff well. They really know their ins and outs of it.
We all do the same thing.
All doing the same thing together as a family. It's about service, you've said.
It is.
Amen.
All right.
Yep.
Thank you, fellas.
Thank you, Spike.
Folks, please, you can call that phone number. You can get your own review right now. As Kevin said, the investments, the taxes, Medicare choices, Social Security, estate planning. How do you create generational wealth? We want to help you. The team here is in service to you. Call the phone number. Thanks so much for watching. We'll be back next week.